Hello there. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Bryan.
And this is Bryan versus Bryan. Very special edition. Not one of our numbered episodes. This is just a DLC, if you will. We are going to go over top 5 video games of 2021. Now that we're in 22, we can look back on this kind of mediocre year of gaming and pick out what we thought was the best. Kind of strange year. Second year where next-gen consoles are out, but was it just me, or does it feel like there's not really any next-gen games, though? Almost every big game was released on everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like you need one of these machines particularly, which is disappointing when you actually are one of the few to have one. And we're just salivating for next-gen experiences, and they're not quite here yet.
Yeah, I think my take on this next-gen thing, because I got my PS5 in April, and I would say that graphically, there are some pretty games, but I also think there's very pretty games on the PS4 and Xbox One. I don't think there's anything that came out this year graphically that, like, dropped my jaw, other than like maybe that Matrix demo. However, that being said, in terms of like not owning a console, I think if frame rate is important to you, and I think if like loading times and like some of the feedback on, especially on the PS5 side, is important, then I think it's definitely worth it. Like I have my base PS4 in my bedroom. I don't use it that often, but when I do, it takes like 5 minutes to boot up. It sounds like a fucking airplane is taking off, and it makes me appreciate how fast and quick the PS5 is, and how just slick it is. So in terms of that, I think it's worth it. But if you don't care about frame rate and any of that shit, then I don't think there's any game out there that's worth buying a PS5 or Xbox for.
Yeah. And in recent gaming news, PlayStation announced the PSVR 2.
Mm-hmm.
They finally named it. Big shock with the name, but it looks pretty impressive, the specs on paper. So 4K in your eyes, like 90 hertz, 120 hertz. So you alleviate some of that vertigo and whatnot. And they have a new controller just for it. They're talking about finger recognition and stuff, and it looks pretty cool. So
nice, yeah.
I'm excited for that to come out. And then they announced that it has a Horizon game being made for it. So we'll see if that's like a full-on game or just one of these little experiences they make. They got to make full games for these things, not these little side quest things. Because I want to play that Resident Evil 4 VR. That looks fucking cool, man. But I'm not going to buy an Oculus Quest for it. Like I hear you actually have to grab the guns out of your shit physically, and you have to like grab a new clip, and it's like, dude, that sounds fun. Resident Evil 4 like that.
That's how I felt about playing Alex for the first time. I went to my brother's house. He has his own like entertainment room, PC, and all that, and he has I forget which one he has, but he's like, hey, play Alex. And I shit you not, it fucking warped me back to playing the Nintendo 64 for the first time. Of like, I've never seen anything like this. This is insane. That's how I felt playing Alex, because it was just like I'm immersed in this crazy. It's Half-Life basically, and just like you said, I had to pick up my gun. I'm sitting there looking at myself, reloading it, and just like moving around. It was just so insane. It was really cool.
Yeah. It was definitely the best way to play like Resident Evil 7. That shit was scary in VR, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Scary. All right, but on to the main course. We're here for the top 5 video games of 2021. I figure we'll go hit for hit, start off at 5 and end at 1. I do have honorable mentions on my list. Do you have some of those?
Yeah, I was thinking, do you want to start with those? I think that's probably good.
Before we get into numbers, I'll do an honorable mention first. That's kind of gotten some hate, but I enjoy it. It's a trip down memory lane. They put out a lot of patches to make it better, and Grand Theft Auto Trilogy Remastered. It's not making my top 5, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm playing it on Switch. Like to play those nostalgic GTA's portable is really cool. I think it's a pretty fun nostalgia trip, and these games are good, and they're not the greatest versions, um, but I do think they are better than the originals. There's a lot of hate for it. I haven't experienced much of these problems that people have, so I enjoy them. So that's an honorable mention. I think if you like those games, the original trilogy, that's a definite purchase.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I have not got a chance to pick that up yet. I do have the original trilogy, on their own on PlayStation. I know it's not the same, but I do plan on picking it up. I think I may do what you did and get on the Switch just to have it handheld. Because, like I said, I already have the 3 on PlayStation anyway. I don't know if it's worth spending $50 just to get a more graphically upgraded version of it, but I definitely want to pick it up on the Switch.
On Game Pass, I think you get San Andreas.
Oh yeah, San Andreas, for
free. So you can try the remastered version of San Andreas on that for free.
That's true. Yeah,
if you have Game Pass.
Cool. Is that you just had the one?
I think we'll go back and forth. You go ahead and throw one out.
Yeah, I have a few of them. I guess to start off, honorable mention is Resident Evil Village. This came out, I believe, in early May. You and I did a whole review on it. Thought it was pretty good. Didn't make my top 5, but no, I thought most of that game was fucking great. I think it kind of falls apart a little bit towards the end. I think some things kind of make it so it doesn't make my top 5, but overall, I think that game is great. And if you're a Resident Evil fan, you should definitely play it.
Yeah, right on. Well, Resident Evil Village will come up later, so we'll talk about that later.
Nice.
Another honorable mention for me is Alan Wake Remastered. Awesome game. So glad it gets a remastered treatment. It's not heads and shoulders above the original, just because Remedy is always pumps out the last bit of juice from everything they put out. So, but it gets an honorable mention because now finally PlayStation people, if you're exclusively on PlayStation, you can finally play it. You had to have a 360 or a PC. So that's great to bring them into the fold. And now that they've announced number 2, I can't wait for that. Remedy's foray into survival horror. That'll be fucking pretty sweet, I think.
I can't wait.
And these guys, their graphics are just awesome when they put out a game. So I'm thinking this game is going to look gorgeous. I can't wait. So Alan Wake, definite honorable mention.
Nice. Yeah, that's another one I haven't. I was so unfortunate because I played Alan Wake for the first time over the summer because you can actually buy it on Xbox's store, just like the 360 version of it. So I played it, and then like a month later, they announced the remake. So I haven't picked it up just because I just got done playing it. But yeah, Alan Wake is great.
Yeah, I got it for free with Quantum Break, which was pretty sweet.
Oh, nice.
They gave you the free digital version when you bought that.
Hell yeah. My next one is Psychonauts 2. I only have this in my honorable mentions because I actually haven't beat it yet. And if I would have been, like, as long as nothing changes in this game, this would have easily been in my top 5. This game is fucking amazing. I didn't think it was going to be this good.
Wow.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm only like 5 or 6 hours in. So I just wanted to throw it out there. I've been playing it. It's really great. You guys should check it out. But like I said, I couldn't justify putting it in there without beating it. So
I thought about trying it a couple times. So I'll have to check it out. Another honorable mention: Forza Horizon 5. I think it's kind of more of the same.
Yeah.
But the same is good. So it's graphically an amazing game, like on next gen, even what it's pushing out of last gen. So there wasn't many big racing games this year, so I think that was definitely the top racing game. Didn't make my top 5, but honorable mention. That's always a really fun series.
Nice. Yeah, I got the chance to play it as well on Game Pass. Yeah, I kind of feel the same. It feels like Horizon 4, but again, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's still fun. Yeah. My next one is very controversial, so I'm sorry, we're about to lose a bunch of viewers, but Halo Infinite is in my honorable mentions. If you guys want to check out what we thought about that, we did a whole review on it, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. My last honorable mention is Metroid Dread. First 2D Metroid game, original Metroid game in a long time. I think it was 18 years or something like that. And it's really good, solid, uh, really colorful. Like if you have an OLED switch, it looks really great on that, and runs at 60 FPS, buttery smooth. If you like that type of gameplay, Castlevania, Metroidvania esque games, then yeah, it's a really fun game, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah, this is a game I really want to play. Especially after the critical reception of it. I did not expect it to have this game as good as it got in terms of reviews. I was like, holy shit, this game must be really good. So I definitely am eager to check it out.
These games are hard though. It's like I never know where to go next or what to do next because it's very set order you got to do things in because you need the power up to do this, you need that power up to do the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always I wish I want like a paper walkthrough for this. You know what I mean? Just flip the pages like so because on a phone it's hard finding exactly what you want in the walkthrough. Anyways, check it out.
Nice.
Okay, is that all your honorables too?
I got two more. I'll just batch them together.
Okay. Boom.
It is Super Mario 3D World for the Switch and Control Ultimate Edition. I talked to you about this, I think, last week before we started recording, and I was kind of split between like my list in terms of like, do I include remakes, remasters, or do I just stick to the games that came out in 2021 proper? I decided to go with doing proper 2021 games, so all my games, my top 5 originally came out this year. However, that being said, Super Mario 3D World and Control are both two of my top favorite games I played this year. I think both of them are fucking amazing. But due to a technicality that I put on myself, I kept them as honorable mentions. So those are my last two.
All right. Right on. Okay, well. I'll start with my number 5.
Yeah.
Super Mario 3D World.
Dude, that game is so good, man. It is so good.
So, it came out this year. It's different enough that I thought it justified it.
Yeah.
It's a great package. They could have just gave us 3D World, and that would have been fine because not many people have played that. It's been relegated to the Wii U, which nobody had. But you also get this Bowser's Fury part, which is actually pretty substantial. And we talked about it. It kind of feels like that's the future of the franchise, kind of an open world. And then once you get to a place, it kind of starts a level. It's like, hey, this is the objective right here. This is a level. So that was interesting. Adds a lot of value to what could have just been a straight port. Amazing gameplay. Like, I really like the 3D Mario, but it feels like 2D because it's you don't have a million places you can go. It's just pretty linear structure. Yeah, and then the Bowser's Fury part I think really pushed it over the edge for me and brought it into my top 5. This game is so fun.
Yeah. And this is another one that we reviewed and we both gave it glowing numbers. I think I gave it a 10 out of 10, which I may walk that back a little bit. I was a little excited. It's probably a solid 9. Regardless, yeah, it's a great game. It's one of my favorite Mario games. I love the point A to point B Mario games, and the fucking level design and the gameplay is off the charts. And you add Bowser's Fury and open world, kind of an add-on to the game, and it's a great package. And I think every Switch owner should be playing it.
Yeah. Boom.
Word.
What's your 5?
My number 5 coming in with a fucking curveball out the gate. I think it's my only curveball though. So, my number 5 is a game called Chivalry 2, and no, I'm not joking. So Chivalry 2 is a game that would never be on my radar. Never even fucking heard of it. You look on PSN, the thumbnail looks so generic. It's like this knight in armor, and he's holding an axe, and there's like a battle behind him. And Chivalry 2, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I started looking into it. I'm like, okay. And then I picked it up, and what it is it's essentially Battlefield, or and to some extent Star Wars Battlefront. But if you just replace that with medieval times, that's exactly what it's a 64-player multiplayer PvP. Medieval times, wielding axes, running around, and just murdering each other, and it's so much fun. I picked it up last week, and I've been playing it all week. Haven't put it down yet.
You bought it?
I bought it. Yeah, it's so
I
much
think
fun.
I think it's on Game Pass.
Oh, it is.
I
Oh,
think
fuck! I
so.
didn't know that.
I'm not sure, but I've seen it around. Yeah, I've
Yeah, if
heard of
it's
it.
on Game Pass, I highly recommend, especially if there's any listeners out there who love multiplayer only games, and maybe Halo's not doing it for you or Call of Duty. I highly recommend it. It's so exhilarating to spawn and you're just like charging and you have like 30 other players charging with you and you like run into another and you're just throwing your axe around and it's a lot. And it's, by the way, I should mention it's first person. It's not like a top down RTS. It's an actual first person. You're
Yeah, I thought
going
it was
through.
an RTS, is what it looked like.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But no, it's a first person, and like I said, it's just Battlefield, but just medieval times with knights.
Hmm.
And I've had a lot of fun playing it. It's a blast. I'm going to continue playing it. I haven't put it down yet, and yeah, that's why it snuck into my top.
Right on.
Yeah,
Chivalry 2, opening doors for ladies and throwing your jacket on over puddles and
Open the
all
car
that stuff.
door.
Yeah. All right. 4. My number 4. Here we go.
Nice.
Halo.
Halo.
Hey, he's back. Halo Infinite. I thought it was a good return to form for Halo. Did not enjoy 4 or 5, so to even enjoy this game was awesome. Had a really great gameplay kind of mechanic and loop with the exploration in this one. Not quite super. That's open world, but it was kind of closed off enough to not feel like one of those generic open world games that constantly are coming out now. Impressive graphics. The fact that they got this thing to run on the original Xbox even is pretty impressive, and then playing it in 4K 60 on Series X is awesome. You can even do 120 FPS, but then it bumps it down to like 1200p or something like that. So yeah, Halo Infinite, we reviewed it. I think it's a pretty great game. And then, the whole package, the multiplayer is pretty fun, even though it's free.
Mm-hmm.
I still lump them together. Yeah, that's my number 4. I didn't think it justified going higher than that, but I felt pretty comfortable giving it a 4 amongst the games I've played this year.
Yeah.
Or last year.
Yeah, I was so happy. Like I said in the review, I was so happy that it was at the very least good, and it is good. It's a fucking pretty fun game. And for a while there, Halo Infinite was my number 5. But then the more I just kind of remembered playing it, I remember a lot of frustrating moments. And then I look at my time with Chivalry 2 and like how much fun. I haven't had any frustrations at all, just having a blast. And I'm like, fuck it. Chivalry 2. Let's give Chivalry 2 some love. But no, Halo Infinite is it has some cool additions. Like I wasn't a fan of like the things to do in the open world, but I like the map. The map is massive and a lot of things to like run around and do. The grapple hook was a cool addition. So there's a lot to like about it. It just didn't quite crack my top 5, but yeah, it's a good choice.
Boom.
Boom. So what are you on, 4?
Yeah.
My number 4 is PlayStation 5's exclusive Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This came out in June 11th. This is by Insomniac. And this is a follow-up to Ratchet and Clank from 2016? Somewhere around there.
Well, that was a remake.
Yeah, well, I guess that was a remake, yeah.
I don't know if this is like, because that was like a reboot.
Yeah, I guess this wouldn't be a follow-up, but this is just another Ratchet and Clank in the series of Ratchet and Clank.
I don't know if this is supposed to be in that universe or the original. You know what I mean? Because those aren't the same universe. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'd have to look into the story points to see where it falls. If this is like Ratchet and Clank 4 or if it's Ratchet and Clank 2, after 16.
But no, this is another game that we reviewed, so I don't want to spend too much time on it and go check it out. I think we did it back in June. The graphics were fucking really, really good. The combat's great. The gameplay, the level design, all the different kind of diverse worlds you go to. This, I don't know what effect you would call it, but there's this dash mode where like you leave a trail of your body that I thought was cool. just visual. Yeah. The story wasn't like no. The story didn't knock it out of the park for me. It's kind of generic, but it was good enough to keep me invested. And yeah, it was a game I just loved playing, and I went and platinumed it. It was a pretty easy platinum, and yeah, it stays at my number
Yeah.
4.
Cool. Yeah, and great use of the trigger effects.
Yeah.
Like your hands will be hurting. It's so many fucking rumbles and things and going
Right.
on. So my number 3. It's like all my things I'm bringing up. You've already talked about. Resident Evil Village.
Right. Nice.
Number 3. I thought Resident Evil Village is really fun. Really engaging gameplay. Gorgeous game.
Gorgeous. Oh yeah,
Like
100%.
crazy. Like, and I look at the screenshots between next gen and last gen, and they're almost indistinguishable. So it's amazing that they made it look like that on last gen. I was kind of disappointed after looking at that. Like I said in our review, that I felt like they probably could have squeezed more out of next gen. But I mean, it looked amazing. It had some interesting and unique boss fights.
Mm-hmm.
One very unique one.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, one very unique one. So that was really cool. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was an event, when that came out. One of the few event games we had where it's like you knew you had to have it, you had to play it. And it was fun, real fun. I'm thinking about doing a run through. I think it's been long enough where I'm craving another run. I should have bought it. I bought it digital, so I don't have the game to show. I should have bought it physical. It was on sale around Black Friday for like $9.99 on like next gen, boxed and stuff. It was like because I have like every Resident Evil game on PlayStation. I buy them all on PlayStation, and so I have to get that one physical because like when you line them up, I just like it's this wide of just Resident Evil boxes. So,
right.
Yeah. Number 3, Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself. I know it's in my honorable mentions. I enjoyed the game, but I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass because, unfortunately, Resident Evil came out at a time that another game came out that I was kind of into, and so I kind of was switching gears into Resident Evil because they're two different games. And I felt like I rushed through Resident Evil. I think I beat it in like 7 hours, and I beat it within like 48 hours. Like I beat it in 2 days to kind of get to the review that we were gonna do. And I feel like I need to go back and like take my time with it and let the world sink in, and because I feel like I kind of rushed through it a little bit. So it's one of those things I want to go back and kind of take my time with. But it's a good choice. It's a good game.
Boom. And what are they going to do the next game? Because they've been hiding the numbers in the name with 7.
Yeah.
And then now with Village, the VI. They're hiding the 8 numeral, and then how you gonna do that with 9, baby? How you gonna? Yeah, at some point you got to stop this. They're gonna be starting some weird ass names just to fit it in there.
That's kind of the fun of it, though. See what they come up with. All right, so we're on 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, my number 3 is another PlayStation. Shocker! I have a lot of PlayStation games on here. Is a game called Tales of Arise. It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive. Came out in September. Developed by Bandai Namco. This is a JRPG, and JRPGs I kind of like dip in and out of. They're not my favorite, but some of them don't really work for me. Like I don't think there's a single Final Fantasy that's ever worked for me. Even 7 Remake, I didn't particularly enjoy. But sometimes I do find some that are very enjoyable, and I really like Ni no Kuni and Ni no Kuni 2. Were great PS3, PS4 games. So I picked this one up because it was just kind of came out at a time where I needed something to play, and that I wanted to play a JRPG. And fuck, dude, this game is fun. This is a really fun game. It looks gorgeous on the PlayStation 5. It has a very unique and engaging story, and the gameplay loop is fun. Every time you get into gameplay, it's just kind of chaotic, but it's there's depth to it, and it's one of those games where like. You know how there's some games where there's like this weird balance issue of like, oh, the story sucks and I'm in a cutscene. Just get me back to the gameplay because I want to play. I don't give a fuck about this cutscene. And then there's games where it's the opposite, where it's like, oh my god, the story's so good, but the gameplay kind of sucks. Like, yeah, I want a cutscene again. This game has both, and that's what's so great. Is like no matter if you're in a cutscene or you're playing a game, or you're fucking engaged and you're having fun. My only critique is that they do the bullshit thing where you think the game ends and then it keeps going for another like 10 hours. And it's like, fuck. Like you had me like, I thought the game was done. Now you're going to drag me for 10 hours. But despite that, this game is fantastic. If anyone out there is looking for a JRPG that has a PlayStation 5, I highly recommend it. That is Tales of Arise.
Right on. A JRPG series I kind of liked, you should probably maybe check out, is Persona.
Oh, yeah. I've been meaning to check that out.
Persona is interesting, man. It's like half of it's almost like Pokemon, because you have these, I think they're demons or something that you fight with and you get. But then the other half of the game is a like high school simulator, where like you have to go to classes and stuff, and like you have to you only have so many hours in a day, and so you can't do everything. You got to choose, like, do you hang out with your friends or do you study science, or it's pretty wacky and out there. First one I ever played was Persona Golden, which I think is a remaster of 2, which it was a PS2 game, and it was on Vita, and I just fell in love with it. It's really cool.
Nice.
So
let's check that out. There's I don't know. I have no idea. I've heard Persona. I've heard it being talked about. Apparently, there's a Persona game coming out for PS Plus this month. I don't know. Apparently, there's like a fighter that's a Persona. Maybe it's the fighter game, but I have no idea. But
they have a lot of spin-off stuff. They even have like a rhythm game, like Persona Dancing in the Night or something. I'm like, no.
Nice.
I hear Persona 5 is pretty good. I'm pretty sure that's free with Plus, like the Plus PS4 games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've been meaning to check that one out. So you did your 3, right? I'm on the 2.
You're on 2.
Okay, 2. Once again, man.
Nice.
Ratchet and Clank.
Hell yeah.
My number 2. I thought it was one of the few games like that was actually next gen only. It was next gen only, right? Yeah, you can't play it on PS4. Yeah. So it's one of the few reasons to have a PS5 that actually, brightened up my year, and I was like, yeah, PS5. I'm glad I have one. Yeah, like we already said. I mean, I thought the graphics were. I mean, they're not realistic, so it's kind of, they don't knock your socks off, but I could tell like just the particle effects and all the things that were happening, and you turn ray tracing on, and all the floors and metals are super reflective and shiny. Man, it's a really cool looking game. First party powerhouse, next gen showcase, super fun pick up and play gameplay. Like, you just want to play 10 minutes, you can easily do that with Ratchet and Clank. Mm-hmm. And not many newer games you can do that with nowadays, So I like that. And so it makes my number 2.
Yeah, along with the graphics, I forgot to say that it's almost kind of a cliche sometimes because you hear it a lot, which is that like, oh, it looks like a Pixar movie or whatever with the graphics. But this game, like in-game gameplay, legit looks like as good as a Pixar movie. It looks fantastic. Yeah.
Looks as good as Toy Story 1.
All right. Well, we just kind of, you and I talked about this briefly recently, so I guess I can elaborate. My number 2 is It Takes Two. How fitting.
Oh.
So, man, where do I begin? Holy shit. So, when this game was announced, I knew what it was, and I got the gimmick. I'm like, yeah, it's a platformer couch co-op. Fucking who gives a shit. And so then it started getting good reviews, and I'm like, whatever. I had my mind set on like what the game was and what I was going to experience. I'm like, whatever. I'm sure it's fine. And then it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and I was like, okay, you know what? Fuck it. Let's sit down and play this thing. So I grabbed Sarah. And man, I could not be any wrong about this game. This game is fantastic. I was so surprised how good it was. Like, there's so many tricks up this game's sleeve that I was not expecting. Like, I was expecting, oh, it's a game where I hold the lever and that opens the door for you and you walk through that door. Oh, we solved a puzzle. Like, it's so much more than that. Like, the puzzles are so fascinating and interesting, and like I was not expecting the range of genres that this game is. Like at moments, this is a shooter. At moments, this is a top-down hack and slash. At moments, this is a 2D platformer. Like it switches genres so often. It keeps you so engaged, and it's oh my god, it's so much fun. And on top of all that, I got to experience it with my partner Sarah. Like we had so much, we were laughing hysterically. The game's really funny, and like just working together. I know it's the point, but working together and having fun, sitting on the couch, on date nights and playing this game. It was just an experience I just don't have very often with Sarah, and it was just so much fun to play with her. And and on top of all that, the story's engaging. It's about a married couple on the rocks who gets transported into these little like clay things by their daughter on accident, and they have to kind of work together and work on their relationship to get back to her. Sounds corny and stuff, but you get sucked into it.
Story.
The characters are fun. There's one character in particular who's like I don't even want to spoil it, but every time he's on screen, it's fucking hilarious. His dialogue is funny, his showmanship is funny, but this game surprised the hell out of me, and I think there is a reason why it's scored as high as it does, because it's just a great game. And I implore you and Jesse to sit down and play it. You guys will have so much fun playing it. And I say that to everyone out there who has a couple, or your brother or your sister or your mom, whoever. Sit down and play it and have a good time.
Maybe it'll save our marriage. Like it did theirs. That's a funny story. It's like a daughter transports her parents into the video game world to stop them from getting a divorce. Now they must work together. It sounds like a cheesy movie.
Sounds like an 80s movie, yeah.
Yeah. Let us out of here. Not till you decide to not get divorced.
All right.
I want one Christmas, goddammit. All right. Yeah, right on. That sounds good. So, on to my number one.
All right, here we go. It's big time.
Yeah, this is surprised me. That's for sure. Kind of out of left field. Didn't think this would be my game of the year. That's for sure. But yeah, here it is. Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's what's up.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I have not played this yet, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Obviously, it's your game of the year, so it's pretty good.
Dude, it was so surprising. First off, made by Square, who did Avengers. So, I mean, not the same team; it's a different team, but it is Square. So Avengers is mediocre. I enjoy it, but it's not the greatest thing in the world. So my expectations weren't too high for this. But then I started seeing all the reviews. I was like, man, it sounds like it's a lot better than Avengers. And I play it, and it's a single-player story-based game, which is always right up my alley. The writing is really great. These characters, sometimes, when you're like playing Avengers, you're so used to the MCU that it just seems off and like a shittier version. But this one, all the characters are written really well, and the writing is good. The voice acting is good. And it's like a game you just want to keep playing to see what other little Marvel characters they introduce or what the next story beat is. Like they introduced, I don't know his name, but he's a fucking Russian space dog. It's like the Russians sent him up and now he's in space. He's like called, I don't know, but he's telepathic. And he's talking to, you play Star-Lord the whole time, which is pretty awesome. You don't switch between the other ones. It's just Star-Lord. And he's talking to Star-Lord telepathically. And he's like, and it's just the shit he's saying is, hello, Star-Lord. This will not be we're going to have a hard time here. And not a fun hard time like ball. And he has like this contraption in his ship that when he says ball, it shoots a ball. And he has to run and go get it and squeezes it. And like spits it out. Back to business, Star-Lord. And he's all got this Russian accent. It's so awesome. He's a cosmonaut space dog. Just little things like that. Drax is hilarious in it. Rocket's hilarious. Star-Lord's really good. Fucking amazing graphics, dude. You play this on next gen, it looks really good. And it reminds me of Spider-Man. It's its own story, and some of the choices they made are exclusively unique to the game, and they're actually pretty cool and good. Like Star-Lord gets his name in this because that was his favorite band as a kid, and he had this Star-Lord jacket, and that was this fictional band in the game world, and he's always kept that jacket. He makes a comment. He's like, "I've had this jacket since I was 8. How does it still fit you?" It's like, well, it's not exactly the same jacket, but the patch is the same. And so they like this. The writing is really good. The gameplay is really good. It's really hard to describe it. It's kind of like oh man, it reminds me of like those old Marvel RPGs where you had like the whole team. It was like Ultimate Alliance. Remember where you're one guy, but you can use the special powers of other people? It's kind of like that. So you're Star-Lord and you have guns, and there's like freeze guns, and enemies have different weaknesses, and then you can use your other people, Tokamura, to go stab this guy and use a special power. And like when you're about to die, it has this really cool thing where you make everyone huddle up, and they all say something, and like a couple words flash on the screen. It's like, oh man, these guys are too strong. How are we gonna? And then you have to pick the right motivation. And if you get the right motivation out of like 2 choices or 3 choices, everybody will be buffed super, and you can just kick ass. And so based on what they say, you have to give them a motivational speech, and then like music plays if you get it right. And it's really good music, like typical like Guardians of the Galaxy music. Could be playing like Def Leppard at the end of a fight or something.
That's cool.
And so it's really fun. I think that's all I had on it, but man, I just surprised me, and I was like, out of all the games I've played, I think it deserves number 1 because it shouldn't be this good. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
Everything about it is really cool, and it's like, good for you guys. That's awesome. I'm glad we're actually getting some superhero games, because it's kind of been a superhero game drought for a while. Other than Spider-Man, he's always got his games, but now we're getting the Guardians, Avengers. It's pretty cool stuff. So yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is a surprise number 1 for me. I loved it. Go check it out. And you can get it pretty cheap. It's been on sale quite a few times.
Yeah, I can't wait to play this game. I was a little put off with the Avengers connection because I wasn't the biggest fan of Avengers. I thought Avengers was fine. But yeah, when I saw gameplay of this, I forget what conference it was, but I remember seeing gameplay. I'm like, it's fucking Avengers 2.0, and that's not a game I really enjoy. But after hearing everyone talk about it, this game sounds awesome, and I can't wait to play it.
It is fucking awesome. It's so good. And the fact that you're just one guy, so it's totally different than Avengers. But Avengers has had so many updates and like added new characters and new storylines that I commend them for that. Yeah. I mean, fuck, you can get that game for like $9.99, and all the content they've added now, it's a pretty good experience for $9.99. So I'm hoping Guardians gets that same treatment. Maybe they'll add some story stuff to this. That'd be freaking sweet, because it's really great. And the writing is so good. Even on the back it says, "You got this." Probably. So
I like the idea of needle drops. I'm always confused why company. I mean, obviously it costs money to copyright, put a song into your game, but it's like, man, games need more like pop culture music in their games, and it kind of makes me happy that this game has some fun music in there.
It's got some good references. Like in the beginning, you're in his room, and you can kind of check out stuff. He's got posters and stuff, and then his mom comes in. "Hey, I found your dog," and then it's like, it hands him the Chewbacca toy, and it's like the original toy, and it's so well made, and in a video game world, it's like, it just looks like that figure. And he's like, his name is Chewbacca, Mom. Anyways, good moments, good game.
Nice. Oh boy, my game of the year of 2021. I've been holding this back for a long time. I haven't really had anyone to talk to about it. I think you and I have talked about it very briefly. And something happened this year that's very, 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 very rare, and it probably won't happen again for a very long time. And that is, not only is this my game of the year, but it may be my favorite game. Like, just straight up my favorite game. I think it's dethroned The Last of Us. I Actually, it's getting a little warm in here. Let me just take this off real quick. My game of the year. For those of you just listening, I pulled a stupid ass stunt. I'm wearing a hoodie this whole time. I just took it off. My game of the year, my favorite game is PlayStation 5's Returnal. Returnal
Wow.
blew me the fuck away. Like, I knew looking at the gameplay that it was going to be up my alley. I was like, oh, this game looks like it's going to be fucking great. And I had no idea. Like, I was obsessed with this game. I was waking up. I was staying up on the weekends till like 3:00 in the morning. I was waking up on weekdays at like 4:30 in the morning just to get a run in before work. In hindsight, it was a little unhealthy, but I could not put this game down. I've never experienced anything like it, and I actually was surprised. I went and looked at my game, my hours played, and since I think PS5 goes all the way back to PS4, at least on the PS5, it doesn't show you how long you've played a PS3 game. So since I've owned a PS4, Returnal is my third most played game since I've owned a PS4, and I don't mean that. I don't mean that because it's I think 71 hours I put in Returnal. I'm not saying that this game is perfect because I played 71 hours of it. I'm trying to, say that I loved it so much that, like, this is not an open world game. This is not a multiplayer game. This is not even a really story driven game. And like the fact that I put in like 70 hours of this fucking thing, I could not put it down. I beat it multiple times. I platinumed it. But this is all blah, blah, blah. Why is this my favorite game? Why is this my game of the year? It's just gameplay, man. It's so fucking fun. Like, this bullet hell when you walk into a room and there's just bullets flying at you and you have to run, dodge, fucking shoot and grapple hook your way into this room and take everybody down. And once you get the hang of it, like, you feel like a fucking badass and you're just going through room to room. And the gameplay, the graphics are amazing. The haptic feedback on the PS5 is incredible. I've just never played anything like it. I've never been this obsessed with a game. Like, it just felt like I could not stop playing it. It just, I've never experienced, like, there's been games where, like, Last of Us or God of War, where it's like, oh, the story's so good, I want to jump back into it. But this was like a straight up obsession. And it is kind of frustrating because I want to shout on the mountaintops for everyone to play this. And the frustrating thing is this game is not for everybody. Like, it's very hard for me to recommend it because it's so unique and it's very niche. And like, if a bullet hell roguelike sounds up your alley, then 100% you need to play this. But if either one of those aren't for you, then I'd say stay the fuck away from it. Unless that's like $20 and you just want to give it a shot, I would say, yeah, if it's $20, fucking play it. I think it's worth that. But if you're going to drop $70 on a roguelike that you don't like roguelikes, or you don't like bullet hell arcade type of gameplay, then do not play it. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I will ramble for hours about this game. Like, I love this game. And it is my game of the year by far. And this was the game that came out right before Resident Evil, where I kind of rushed through Resident Evil just so I wanted to go back and play Returnal. Yeah, that's my game of the year, Returnal.
Wow. Yeah. I kind of want to try it. They added the game save thing, so that kind of eases my mind a little bit, makes it easier to try.
It's a very hard game, I should say up front.
Before, it was a long times in between saves, right? Like, you sat down, you had to play for like an hour at least.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Or you just completely lose everything you've done. So now they let you just save and leave, and but you only get to load that save like once, which doesn't matter. I mean, you just save again, right? But
yeah, it's Oh, fuck. Sorry, there's more things coming on. I apologize, but I'm just so excited. The fucking boss fights, dude. The boss fights in this game are some of the best boss fights. Like, I almost want to say this game was worth playing just for the boss fights. Like, the boss fights are fucking amazing. And like, I find myself dying just because I was in awe of what was happening on screen. Like, there's just so much coming at you and it's all colorful and you're like, whoa, and you're dead. But no, the boss fights are fucking unique, and they're boss fights that I go back and play just to play them, just because they're fun to play. And I will say about the save thing, the game does something interesting Because roguelites, for me, they're kind of hit and miss. I've played about 4 or 5 of them, and I think this and Hades are the only ones that I enjoyed. But what this game does that the other ones didn't do, which is that like in Hades, when you died in level 2, you go back to level 1, you have to play the whole level over again, fight the boss again. Or if you died in level 3, you go back to 1, beat boss 1 again, beat boss 2 again, yada, yada, yada. But Returnal does something different in that they call them biomes. When you beat a biome, you never have to fight that boss again. And technically, you don't even have to play the biome again, because what happens is like a portal opens up to biome 2. So if you die in biome 2, you get back to biome 1. You can just speed through and go right back to that portal, and you're in biome 2 again. You don't have to fight the boss again. I don't know if I'd recommend that because you get orbs and shit, but the more enemies you kill and whatnot. But it is something that people haven't really talked about. And then the other thing about the save is that the game actually, this is another thing that it does that other rogues don't do that I've seen, is the game actually resets at biome 4. So in other words, like if you die in biome 2 or 3, you go back to biome 1. But if you die in 4, you start back at biome 4. You die in biome 5, you start back at 4. You die in 6, you start back at 4. So if you die in biome 6, you don't have to go all the way back to biome. Like the game kind of resets you halfway through, which I think is nice. So technically, you have to beat the game only dying or going through twice, I guess. Like once you beat biome 1 through 3, you never have to play those again, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Whereas like the other roguelites I've played, you have to always fucking continue playing those earlier levels. So I did appreciate that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah.
It's like the Mario flag in the middle of the level. You get to start from the flag.
Right?
And you get a mushroom. All right, yeah. That's the games of the year.
Yeah.
Bryan versus Bryan. Guardians of the Galaxy and Returnal. Go check them out. What was your favorite game of the year? Please let us know. Tell us. Write us a letter. Anything. Please.
Please.
We're desperate here. I haven't heard anybody's voice in so long. We'll put our phone numbers on the bottom of the screen. Give us a call. Give us a chat.
Toll free.
Yeah. 1-800. 4 easy payments and 1 hard payment. Yeah, please like and subscribe. Check us out. Bryan vs. Bryan. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on Zune. You still got a Zune? Get us on your Zune. We're on Kindle. We're on your Paperwhite. You know, you could read it. We should do that. We get transcripts of the show and release them as ebooks.
There you
go. All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. This weekend will be episode 75.
Yeah, 75.
Yeah, 75. Big number. Yeah, and we will be reviewing something, believe it or not. So
yes. Our first episode of the year of 2022.
We'll see. There is some good television out we could do. I mean, there's like Witcher season 2.
Have you finished it?
We'll see. No.
Okay.
No. I've started it. I'm going slow.
Yeah. We just finished it the other night, so I feel you. Took us a little bit.
New Cobra Kai just came out. I forgot about that, so I've been kind of doing those two recently. Yeah, so join us. Until the next feast, we say peace.
Yeah, peace.